I know you wrote an article, 3 hot takes about what the Browns should do in the draft. Number 1, if the Browns stay at 54, tackle should be off the board. Number 2, linebacker position, one we're not talking enough about. And 3, the Browns need to draft at least one skill player on day 2. Take us through your thoughts on those.
Well, with tackle, and this is not necessarily meant to knock any of the guys who could be available, at 54 for tackle, including maybe a Patrick Paul from Houston. But I think when it comes to the Browns, you're already having a log jam at tackle. You have 3 guys, Jedrick Wills, Jack Conklin, and DeJuan Jones for 2 starting spots. So one of those guys is going to have to come off the bench at some point. They come off the bench this season. So you already have a log jam. Jack Conklin, you really can't move on from his contract this season. There really is no easy way out of it until maybe next year. DeJuan Jones, there's no reason to move on from DeJuan Jones as it stands right now. And with Jedrick Wills, I feel like fans are a little too eager to move on from Jedrick Wills when I think, prior to his injury against the Cardinals, he played the best football of his career possibly, in those last 5 or 6 games before, he suffered his season-ending knee injury. So I think they're fine at tackle. Taking one at 54 feels like too much of a luxury when you can fill some other needs. Maybe one of those needs goes to point number 2 is linebacker. Obviously, linebacker is not a position that gets valued as much in this day of the analytical thought process of football, because when you go 5 DBs, 6 DBs for passing situations, you're taking a linebacker out the field, or possibly 2 in those situations. But when you look at the depth chart for the Browns, the only guy who you could see right now as kind of a long-term option is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and he's in the last year of his rookie deal. I would imagine the Browns should obviously do what they can to keep him around, but there really is nothing else there outside of some veteran stopgaps like Jordan Hicks and Devin Bush. And we don't know with the younger linebackers like Tony Fields and Mohamed Diabate if they can be starters. So I think investing in that position is one worth looking at. And number 3, obviously Andrew Berry has tried to find receivers. I think he should continue to do that. Receivers and defensive tackles are the 2 positions he's taken one of in every single draft since he took over as GM in 2020. So he's invested in the position. There's no question about it. I think it just hasn't worked out as far as finding that high-level starting guy that you hope to find. Obviously harder to do with a later pick than a first-round pick, but doesn't mean he should stop, swinging, because we've seen so many guys with non-premium picks like Amon-Ra St. Brown, a 4th-round pick in 2021, Puka Nacua, a 5th-round pick last year. They become great receivers, so it's certainly possible. And this is what I've said before, is a borderline generational receiver class. 9 different guys at receiver have a chance to go in the first round. So a good one should fall at 54 or maybe in a trade down. I'd say go get him if one's there and just keep being aggressive, add another young piece to that room. And with running back, I've said before, you got to start preparing for life after Nick Chubb. So maybe, a running back, in the 3rd round makes a lot of sense. Maybe in the 2nd round, if you want to take Jonathan Brooks from Texas, that makes sense. But I think Andrew Berry needs to leave Friday of the draft with at least one skill position guy.